perhaps any governor or high-profile political figure that has access to media and something of a profile or kind of legend is auditioning for further future office. And it seemed for a minute in the early spasms of democratic decline that Gavin Newsom was being groomed for greater things. So I suppose this will likely for some time be seen as the incineration of his dreams to be anything other than governor of California.
I mean, it's hard to believe he's got a political career after this. I mean, there's now a new recall is already underway, a new recall effort. There's an effort to force the mayor to resign. I mean, you know, for all these catastrophes, there's always a series of failures on the way to them. It's never one thing. I mean, there's also this incredible, the second largest water reservoir that feeds Los Angeles and is part of both the drinking water and the fire system are the same. In most cities, they're the same, and in Los Angeles, they're the same. This reservoir was empty. I mean, it's just complete madness. It was empty for, it looks like it was empty for years, at least for 1 year. That is the responsibility of the Department of Water and Power, the city utility. That person works for the mayor. If the mayor can't do her job, then the governor has to step in. So basically at every level where all these failures are occurring, you can trace it right back to the governor and the mayor. I mean, the buck stops with the governor. I mean, he's an incredibly powerful position in the state, and he's just incapable of acting decisively. He's somebody kind of at a character level that he acts as though he's a leader and as though he's in charge, but he's always looking to other people to figure out what to do. He's always looking for permission to act. That's not what you need in situations of danger. You need decisiveness. You need authority. He's obviously not able to provide that. I mean, he is the quintessential, weak leader created by good times. I mean, he was someone, really born into and sort of adopted by the Getty family, was kind of handed everything in his career, handed his wealth. So he's just not somebody that's a take charge person. And he's just like a lot of the people in Hollywood and a lot of people in Los Angeles, just really caught up in ideology, in this identity politics, in this climate apocalypse, and just not really grounded in reality, not really connected to the function of civilization. And then the fires in Los Angeles are completely unprecedented. The problem is actually much worse than people realize. We are looking at estimates of up to $250 billion, 12,000 homes and buildings destroyed, at least 24 people dead. And Russell, because you read Public, but the evidence is now overwhelming that it was the budget cuts that led directly to the delayed response and to the lack of prevention that caused the Los Angeles fires. And my friend Rich McHugh from News Nation just published this devastating video, which shows them literally hard proof that it took 45 minutes for the helicopters to arrive and just start to dump some water on the Pacific Palisades fire, which is one of the worst fires, the most deadly and destructive fires. That's insane. I mean, I've had two firefighters come forward. The response time is supposed to be 3 to 5 minutes. I mean, that's how quickly firefighters are supposed to be on site. 45 minutes. They could have had that fire contained. You can't stop fires, but they could have had it contained. Instead, 45 minutes, it was just too late and it was everywhere.
You're right. I do look at your report, and I'm looking at it right now, Public, which is available on Substack, and you're talking about LA Mayor Karen Bass claiming that the fire cuts the $17.5 million cuts did not impact the LA Fire Department's ability to contain, control, or ameliorate, I suppose, these fires. Michael, I suppose that the general shape of debate is this. Is California's unique status as the ultra-liberal, inverted commas, woke state impacting serious municipal matters and emergency matters? Crime has long been discussed. Now there's a crisis in California. That much of the commentary surrounds the connection between, for example, DEI hires and the manner in which this is being handled. Do you think it's possible to be objective effective when a state and therefore issues within that state become so hotly and heavily politicized so urgently, and the discourse becomes so dominated by tribalism? Do you think it's possible to discern it? Is that why your investigation looks at budgetary cuts and the amount of time it takes?
Right. I mean, look, it's a reasonable question. I mean, obviously, there's super political atmosphere. People are prejudiced against California in general because it's the most, radical left state in the United States. But in this case, I mean, here you had the fire chief herself, who's a, famously lesbian fire chief who didn't want to kind of acknowledge the role of budget cuts, but there was a very feisty local Fox News reporter who just kept pressing her on the issue, and she finally said, yes, of course it had an impact. Specifically, it was a little confusing at first because she kept talking about they couldn't afford to pay the mechanics, and you were like, well, what do you mean? What do you need mechanics to fight these fires with? They had 100 fire engines that were in the shop that needed to be repaired. They could have also had another 100 fire engines, as you can buy used fire engines for $500,000. And the idea is you should station them around Los Angeles. I mean, Russell, you lived there. This is California. It's the most beautiful state, and it's also the most dangerous state. And we deal with that. We're willing to pay for that. It's a premium state. We retrofit our homes. We have all sorts of precautions. We create little earthquake kits. We're very diligent about it. We know that there's a price to be paid for living in California. But that means that everybody down the line, from the governor to the mayor to the fire department, the chiefs, they need to be focused like a laser on this issue of public safety. And when they are just, first of all, half of all fires are set by homeless people who should not be on the street creating fires. When you're focused on anything other than merit in hiring for firefighting, whether it's, DEI or anything else, your eye is not on the ball. I mean, this is a hard job. Firefighting involves both brawn and brains. It actually, you have to look at a structure and decide, can we get in there and out safely? There's a lot of experience that's required. So it's a really tough job, and they've been starving them for funding. I just found out that they owe the firefighters a huge amount of back pay, tens of millions of dollars of back pay. They won't pay them. They could have easily doubled the firefighter budget in Los Angeles. We estimated something like 2% of what the state spends annually on climate change, homelessness, and migration.
Have you ever lied to a priest in a church on Christmas Day? I have. I need to be atoned and redeemed by the Lord. And how am I going to do that when I'm at home? Hello. In a time when so many things are uncertain across the world, it's important to solidify the things that get us through uncertainty. For me, it's my faith, and Hallow, the #1 prayer app in the world, is an amazing resource for me. They offer thousands of guided prayers and meditations, even music, audiobooks, and a lot more. This app is super easy to use and has great features for building a routine, praying with others. I haven't used that before. I'm going to go on Hallow and pray with others. And really tailoring the app to your spiritual needs. Hallow has 10,000 plus audio guided prayers and meditations included, such as daily prayers like daily gospel reflections, daily miracle reflections, morning psalms with Bishop Barron, and daily spiritual writing. It's also got contributions from Mike Schmitz. Who don't want to do a Bible in a year with Father Mike Schmitz? I love Father Mike Schmitz. Bishop Barron, brilliant mind, brilliant brain, brilliant Bishop Barron. And Jonathan Rumi, come on. Jesus is my body double. Mark Wahlberg and Jim Caviezel. Not just one Jesus, but two Jesuses. Jesus? What's the plural of Jesus? There is no plural on Jesus. They just released a terrific daily devotional series for men, women, young adults, those in grief, and people new to Christianity. So go to hallow.com/Brad to get 3 months free today. Praise the Lord. Well, we haven't fixed the fire engines and we haven't paid the firefighters. But other than that, it's a pretty tight ship. Typically, budget cuts would be the purview of a leftist and therefore pro-big government argument. Isn't it rather odd that that is a component?
Totally. I mean, you would think the Democrats are supposed to be in the pocket of the labor unions. Here's the case where I really wish they had been in the pockets of the firefighters. Another thing I learned is that the firefighters are prohibited by their contract from striking. And I can appreciate that. You don't want the firefighters to strike. But I mean, look, they told me stories, Russell, that are just heartbreaking. I mean, So you're supposed to, I mean, if firefighters are just everything that we imagine from television and movies, like in 30 seconds, you got to be out the door. You're supposed to you're supposed to have responded to a call in 3 to 5 minutes. They're showing up 30 minutes after they get called. People are having heart attacks and dying in those 30 minutes. This whistleblower, this firefighter told me a terrible story of a child where they were 30 minutes late getting there. We still don't know if that child survived. But the family, of course, you get there and the family's outraged at the firefighters, and the firefighters, who are like parents themselves, are just wrecked. They're heartbroken. I've covered stories in the past where like EMTs show up late, try to save somebody, they lose somebody, and they burst out crying because they're just really actually invested in saving lives. And when they can save a life, it's just this incredible natural high, the greatest experience that they have. And when they can't save a life that they know they could have saved, it drives them absolutely crazy. It leads them to quit their jobs. And so now we have this shortage of firefighters who are, I mean, they are genuinely American heroes. I mean, they're just out there constantly. They're not taking the breaks they need. So, I mean, hopefully this crisis, this disaster, helps to shine a light on the need to take care of our first responders. These are the people who maintain our civilization. And I think that tells you everything, that the city of angels has got its head so far up in the clouds that it's failing to deal with the civilization on the ground.
That's pretty good. Nice work there. Well done. I'm not going to let that pass without compliment. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.